IShowSpeed has been going viral for his races against other celebrities and other athletes. So I am a strength coach. I work with professional athletes on a daily. I make people faster all the time. And my goal of this video is to explain why is Speed so fast? What makes him the athlete that he is? I also want to critically analyze his races to see why did he win, why did he lose certain races, or why did his opponent lose, and explain potential areas for improvement for Speed where he could get faster. Let's get it. So let's start with why Speed is so fast. So obviously he's genetically gifted, but I'm not just talking about his narrow hips and his high muscle tone. I'm talking about his movement quality. He's very good at using his hips. So what I mean by that is, if you look at this recent deadlift video, he has a very congruent, nice and clean hip extension pattern, okay? So in my past 6 years as a strength coach, I've been noticing a trend. The more talented an athlete is, the better they are at using their hips, and the less you need to coach how to stand up with a weight, okay? So if we look at this Speed video, his hips initiate the movement, then his knees attaching, and then his shoulders, hips, and knees get upright very congruently in the same kind of time frame. So this is a very clean hip extension pattern. He's not excessively using his low back or anything like that. So if we compare this to this video of a German Bundesliga footballer who is obviously talented, otherwise he wouldn't be where he is, from the same angle, you can see it looks kind of the same. He also has a very clean hip extension pattern, and it's like kind of his shoulders and his hips locking out at the same time. So this whole using your hips well in a deadlift is not a direct determinator of athleticism. It's just more an indicator of movement quality, which is still important. However, legendary speed coach Charlie Francis, who used to coach Ben Johnson, the former world record holder in the 100 meter, wrote a book about his training system, and there is a talent identification checklist inside his book. And he says, high-level sprinters tend to be short-tempered, explosive, and intense. A sprinter will have all of these characteristics even at a young age. An explosive personality is an indication of an explosive nervous system. And this fits right onto Speed. Like, he literally just described Speed. Speed has a super explosive, big personality, super socially dominant. He's super competitive in nature. He shines when the lights are on him. He responds very well to dopamine and adrenaline. When the cameras are on him, people are cheering for him and shouting around him. And all of this indicates he has a very, very fast nervous system. So I bet if he had to press the space bar of his keyboard for 5 seconds, he would get for sure above 50 taps, okay? So you can try this yourself at home. Just space tap tester, 5 seconds. Press the space bar as often as you can in 5 seconds and see how many taps you get. If you get to 50, that means you're fast, okay? And anything above 50 is very, very good, okay? So marathon runners are in the high 30s, maybe low 40s. And in my experience, I don't know a single marathon runner or long distance runner in general who has a big personality, who is very loud in a social dynamics, and this just fits onto Speed. Speed has a very, very fast nervous system, which absolutely helps with Speed. So reason number 3 why Speed is fast is because of his jumper type. So P3, a facility that works with many, many NBA players, has done a big research study on 178 NBA players, and they found that there's 3 different jumper types, okay? So there's a jumper type that bends his hips a lot, there's a jumper type that bends his hips and knees a lot, and then there's the third one, the stiff jumper type, which is Speed, okay? Stiff jumpers, they don't bend their hips and knees a lot, and that therefore they require less time to perform their jump. And this is super conducive to being fast. People with stiff jumpers usually tend to have higher tendon stiffness, and that tendon stiffness helps them get off the ground more quickly, which is a key determinant of top speed. So based on the video with KD and Giannis, we can see that Speed barely goes down to perform his jump. Also, a little side mark is he has great rhythm on his jumps. His jump technique is absolutely atrocious. However, he still builds a good rhythm, okay? So this is a kind of a movement problem solving ability indicator that Speed knows how to move, okay? So he knows he has to build a rhythm to get a good jump, and he does that with this little skip that he does before the jumps. So Speed is a stiff jumper, probably high tendon stiffness, doesn't require a lot of time to get off the ground. This helps him with his sprinting, And another indicator of his athleticism is that he knows how to build a rhythm into his jump without knowing how to jump for real. So reason number 4 why he's fast, he just had a very rich movement childhood, okay? So this is a key thing that most elite athletes had. They played multiple sports. They have been moving and jumping and running and throwing stuff and climbing on trees all of their life. And from what Speed has told us about how he got his name Speed is people started calling him Speed. So he has probably been racing and running all of his life. And he played multiple sports. He played football. He played basketball, probably some other sports as well that I don't know of. And he just has a lot of sprint experience. Also, I think that he secretly does sprint training at least once or twice a week in his free time without being on camera, even if he's not racing someone for 3-4 weeks. And obviously he goes to the gym and lifts, okay? So all of these things help with becoming faster as an adult. All right, so the first race we're going to look at is the Noah Lyles versus Speed video. Let's just let it run through one time. So Speed had a great start. Now Noah Lyles overtakes him, looks at him, and makes it look like he smoked him. Let's look at what happened first, and then let's look at what makes Speed fast. What is his sprint style? Okay, so what happened here first? So Speed comes off to a better start, so he has a better reaction time. It was not a false start. He just had a better reaction time than Noah Lyles. And now, even though he started earlier, Noah is just a better sprinter. And you can see if you go frame by frame, they have their foot down approximately at this. Their foot touches the floor at the same time, but Speed gets to that dorsiflexion more quickly. You can see here in this frame, Noah Lyles' heel is still glued and his shin moves, which means his ankle is loading. All right, so now they get forward, hit the second step at the same time. Third step, essentially at the same time. And even though Noah Lyles started later, they're pretty much in sync. And this points to one of Speed's weaknesses, okay? So because Speed has a team sport background, okay? He did not grow up as a sprinter. He played football and basketball and probably other sports. He does not know how to accelerate like a track sprinter does. So Speed gets upright way more quickly. Now, on this step, Speed is already basically upright. He's already running while Noah Lyles' chest is still down. He's still in his drive acceleration phase. And the reason that they get their third step essentially down at the same time is because Speed struggles with staying low. He has too much vertical displacement of his hips when he pushes off the ground, okay? This is a drawback. This is a disadvantage in acceleration. You want to spend as much time on the ground applying force to create horizontal power in acceleration. And this is something that track sprinters are really good at, but team sport players not as much. So even though Speed started earlier, they're in sync. And that just speaks to Noah Lyles being a better accelerator, technically, okay? So Speed is already running, and it is very impressive that Speed literally wins the race at like 10 meters, or like 7, 8, 9, 10 meters. He's literally the winner here. But as soon as Noah Lyles looks up with his eyes, you see, here his eyes are down, eyes are down, eyes are down, eyes are down. And now from here, boom, eyes are up. And now it takes him 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. And Noah Lyles is clearly forward, okay? So as soon as Noah Lyles gets upright and he transitions into his max velocity mechanics, he's not quite there yet, but as he's transitioning from drive to upright sprinting, his stride length just takes over, and Speed has no chance against him. And now he's already look at him. He already knows he's won. And now at the end, Noah Lyles makes it look like he wants to make it look like he just smoked the shit out of Speed. However, there's a backstory to this whole sprint. Okay, so this was done in like November, and I know from a Noah Lyles video, because I watched some of his videos, that this race was done on a Wednesday. Okay. And Noah Lyles was in the middle of an endurance phase. When you train endurance or capacity as an athlete, then your performance level drops. You get slower, you get less explosive, you jump less high. But then the uprise later, when you switch to explosive training again, is bigger than you were before. Okay, So Noah Lyles did Monday and Tuesday. He did crazy endurance work. He had no legs. He was super sore. His calves and hamstrings were super sore. And then on Wednesday, with no nervous system, like feeling sluggish and with no legs, he raced speed. And I personally think he started with like 90% effort. Okay. And even though he had no legs, he was in the slump of an endurance cycle and he didn't even try. He's almost as fast as Speed, who's going 100%. Okay, so now this is still kudos to Lyles, to Speed. Everybody else, like a regular person, probably would have still lost against Noah Lyles from the first step on. However, once Noah Lyles realizes that Speed is for real, and he just gets upright, he starts giving 100%, it's absolutely barbecue chicken. Okay, so this is essentially what happened in the race. So now let's look at what is Speed's sprint style. What makes him fast? Okay, so first off, Speed is a really good accelerator. All right, so why is he a good accelerator? Probably because he played team sports. Team sport players usually accelerate a lot, and Speed definitely. I think he was a running back, maybe even wide receiver, and those people are good at accelerating. Period. Okay. Now, when you look at Speed's right leg, okay, it's a very bold right leg. It's like when you compare this to, for example, like someone like Mbappe. Mbappe also has this big bow. And if you look at Speed's head, it goes right, left, right, left, right, left. He does a great job of laterally swaying his spine and driving torque and momentum through that into his legs to create a big impulse into the ground. Meaning, he puts his head over his left foot, over his right foot. And this allows him to be, quote unquote, more on balance and deliver a better strike to the ground. And his spine, his spinal engine helps him transmit that power to the ground. Okay. Now see the big bow on his left leg. I'm telling you guys, he might be a little bit bow-legged, and this helps him accelerate faster. Okay. So another big bow, and he generally has this big rotational sprint style going on that is very common for team sport athletes. Mbappe, Vinicius Jr., many of these athletes share that same rotational sprint style. Even in a video of me accelerating, I'm a lifelong basketball player. We all share the same sprint style. Okay, and because he has this super big side-to-side motion, which many people would try to correct, I personally wouldn't. That's just his natural sprint style due to his big sporting background. His arms have to go side to side. You can see he's not using a ton of shoulder extension. Shoulder extension is when your arm goes back behind your body, okay? So if you compare that to Noah Lyles, if you look at Noah Lyles' right shoulder, boom, super big extension, okay? This super big extension allows Noah Lyles to get a better knee lift, and a better hip extension, and this allows Noah Lyles to have this big stride length that he has, okay? And a track sprinter usually doesn't have as much side-to-side motion as a team sport player, and you can see it in these couple frames. Okay, what's more is Speed, even though he has a team sport background, he does a great job of creating this straight leg before he hits the floor with his left leg in this race. Okay, so his right leg is kind of still in team sport mode. You can see it's still a bent knee, and he tries to get off the ground quickly, but his left leg, look at this, exactly right here. So it straightens out, great stiff leg, and that allows him to get off the ground really quickly and get a big impulse for a long stride length. Okay, so this is not common for team sport players. Team sport players usually run with a little bit lower to the ground and with more bent knees, because that allows them to change directions more easily and run curves. Now, if we look at Speed versus Daniel LaBelle, this is his most recent race, so this is like 7 months after the Noah Lyles race. You can see that Speed is running with a straight leg and a big wheel on both legs. So left leg straight, and even his right leg big straightening before it hits the ground. Okay, so this race by Speed was technically executed a lot better than the one against Noah Lyles. Probably because Daniel LaBelle here in the beginning, you can see Daniel LaBelle here on the right. You can see him stumble. You see this? So and he stumbled, and then exactly, boom, you see this? He stumbled and he had to catch up, and then the race was already lost, because when you stumble at the beginning, you never get into your rhythm. You can never build that big wheel, okay? So your leg cycling in the straight leg coming through and having that foot come back high, fold high in the backside, like you can see here on Speed's left foot. This folding action of the backside, this is what allows the front leg to straighten out and create that rigid lever to propel yourself off of, okay? So Speed does a really good job of creating a nice big wheel here in this race, and that just allows him to run really fast. Another feature of Speed's movement is, you can see this in this frame here, so his right leg is definitely his stride frequency leg, and his left leg is his stride length leg. When you look at here, now his left leg will come down, it's gonna hit, and then boom, you see this big extension in his spine. This whole segment here, okay, look at how it extends. Boom, you see this? This big extension here in his low back, and his pelvis tilts anteriorly, and his big hip extension. This is what creates his stride length on his left leg, and on the right leg, boom, doesn't have that big of a extension, which is conducive to his stride frequency leg. He's just trying to get it on the ground and off the ground quickly. With the left leg, he's trying to create a long flight distance, okay? So this is Speed's style. So one more feature that I want to point out about Speed's sprint style is conducive to his rotational sprint style is his hip flexion, okay? When he brings his leg forward, when he flexes the swing leg hip, you can see how his thigh bone goes to the inside and creates this shape, okay? This is internal rotation of the femur, of the thigh bone, and he's really working that internal rotation, and this goes hand in hand with the extreme rotational sprint style that he works with, okay? So if his hips didn't have this internal rotation capacity, he would not be able to realize this nice rotational sprint style that makes him the athlete that he is. Okay, so I hope you guys liked it. This is why Speed is the athlete that he is. These are just some observations I could make from the outside, from social media. If I was there and I was training Speed, or I would watch him race in person and just spend some time with him, I could definitely name a couple more points. But just from social media and what I could gather, these are really the main points that I would decipher as a strength coach. And I hope this was educational. And if you liked it, please tag Speed, send this to Speed, and let's get this to Speed so that maybe he can tap in with me.